This is from ESPN's First Take today. Harry Douglas, Dan Orlovsky, Damian Woody, three former players debating which AFC North quarterback is under the most pressure.
We can want the 2020 version of Deshaun Watson, but I'm here to tell everyone we're not getting that version of Deshaun Watson. I'm sorry.
So
at some point, reality has to sink in.
Let me
reality has to sink in at some point.
So what made you pick Justin Fields and Russell Wilson? Like, what have those guys shown you that they should have any type of expectation?
Let me tell you this. I do know this about Pittsburgh. If you get good quarterback play, I view them in a different light. I view them as contending. If you get good quarterback
better than
play,
Cleveland?
Talking about Harry.
If you get
Harry,
good quarterback
they
play
went to the playoffs
Pittsburgh,
last year.
Okay,
Harry,
Dan.
Cleveland
So did the Cleveland Browns, and they got mollywopped in the playoffs. What's your point?
That's what I'm talking about when I say they went to the playoffs. You said if they get good quarterback play, they're a legit contender. You don't feel that way about Cleveland when they just did it with Joe? That's what I'm saying.
I didn't say they wasn't a contender. Who do you trust more? Do you trust Mike Tomlin or you trust Kevin Stefanski more, Dan? Tell me who you trust more.
Kevin Stefanski's a two-time coach of the year.
So what? He hasn't won a dang old thing, Dan. Who do you trust more, Stefanski or Mike Tomlin? Answer the question.
Both. They're both great coaches.
Don't tell me about what he's a two-time coach of the year. He ain't won a doggone playoff game. Or maybe he won one.
Well, Harry, Mike Tomlin's record without Ben Roethlisberger, if you look down to those last 2 years, is 19-15. Roethlisberger was 29-11 in the 3 years before Tomlin became head coach, and Watson's 8-4 as a starter with the Browns. So, Harry, I'm sorry, you're misinformed. That's just a moronic argument. Again, that guy played, but he's got an agenda, clearly.
The Browns' playoff win was in Pittsburgh against the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, come on. And then now, you just went and did it again this year. And, you can't trust Kevin Stefanski, and Pittsburgh didn't have great quarterback play. Kevin Stefanski had to play with 5 quarterbacks last year and still find a way to get his team to 11 wins. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and, and if you're going to choose off of longevity, maybe, Mike Tomlin wins. But Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since 2017. So that means there were children who weren't even born yet who are probably going to 2nd or 3rd grade by now since the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers won a playoff game. It seems very interesting that, everybody tells, nobody lets Cleveland Browns fans talk about, the old AFL days when they were good. Those days aren't allowed to be talked about. But now that the Cleveland Browns are relevant, it has to go back to 25 years ago. Nobody can talk about the last season or the last 2 or 3 seasons or even the last 4 seasons, where Kevin Stefanski, shocking enough, has a winning record. It's just, it does always seems, and it's Cincinnati, we want to anoint them, but there's no Super Bowl trophies in Cincinnati either. Baltimore. Well, every year we hear the same thing, and then they get into late January, and it's a slow and methodical fade away. As great as the AFC North is, if you want to say it's maybe flawed and somebody needs to step up for this division and maybe get it to a championship game, win a championship game, represent this division by going to the Super Bowl, that's fair. But I think a lot of right now, it's a lot of, Spider-Man memes where any one of these teams can make the case to being the best in the division. And because they're all really damn good, that means any one of these teams could technically also be the worst team in the division.
Yeah, you know what? The Steelers are due for some quarterback mediocrity. They had it so good for so long.
Well, and even the way that was covered, George Pickens runs 2 yards. Fields throws him a ball. He picks up 7. Oh, looking in midseason form. 2 plays later, 3 plays, the next 3 plays, he fumbles twice. That's not the part anybody talks about.
No.
But then when you get to Tomlin's the one who was irate. Like, the one thing we talked about this guy was ball security, and there's the ball all over the field.
Well, and you know what? I used to get voicemails, emails, texts from Steelers fans last year, and I told them, Kenny Pickens looks an awful lot like the quarterbacks I've seen play. I don't get it.
If anybody would know, Dave, it would be us.
Exactly. You guys, I'm telling you right now, Russell Wilson in this iteration, Justin Fields in the iteration that we've seen of him so far, he's a mediocre quarterback. We have a PhD in mediocre quarterbacks here with the Browns.